Missing our teammate here.
I thought you just said polar like it was a new thing, and then.
Oh yeah, you already knew. Yeah, you already knew polar form, I think. But so there's a new way that we're gonna say it though. We're gonna use cis because that says cosine. Cis stands for cosine I sine, which is actually this. These two things are actually equivalent. But you know how you can use cosine and sine, and you can.
Button on our calculators?
No. Okay, so here's. So let me get through this one. I want to put it in polar. So watch, and it'll kind of become apparent why it's cosine I sine in a second too. This is x and this is y, but sometimes we call this axis the imaginary axis, and it becomes I. Sometimes it does. So when we're it's y, but sometimes we use it as the imaginary axis. So 6 plus 2i, did you guys already know this? That's just 6 to the right and 2 up. It's just this. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. Did you guys know that already?
Yeah.
The notation? All of you guys knew that already? So it's kind of like, this is just the ordered pair 6, comma 2. And there was an old book before this book, but it's not the same one they had. There was one that used to go 6r plus 2u, and that meant 6 right plus 2 up. And then, because they slowly transitioned you, and then they started just calling it 6 plus 2i. And then sometimes they'll use I hat, J hat. But so here we are. Is that okay so far? There's a little point.
Okay, I remember what the hats though. I remember those B coordinates.
So here is polar form. Remember, gives polar form. We used to just write it like this. There's a hypotenuse and an angle. So you're going to do the same exact procedure. Find the hypotenuse of the triangle. So Pythagorean theorem will give us a hypotenuse. This is 2, and this was, what, 6? So 2 squared is 4. 6 squared is 36. Ooh, does that give me, yeah, it gives me 40. Okay, so I got C equals root 40, which is 2 root 10. So that's 2 root 10. So I can say, this can be written as 2 root 10. Actually, I think they usually use a decimal for it, but I'm going to say 2 root 10 cis. Instead of the angle like I used to use, I'm going to write cis.
2 root 10.
And then how do I get this angle measure? Anybody remember?
It's 2 root 10. You have 2
Oh, thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, how do I get this angle measure?
Subtoes?
Yes, let's use tangent. You are rocking it now. Opposite over adjacent, right? So I can just go tangent of whatever that angle is equals 2 over 6. So inverse tangent both sides, theta equals tangent inverse of 2 over 6. Okay, so how do I get that? I think on this one I have to go 2 divided by 6, get a decimal, and then second tangent, and that gives me 18.43. Okay, and let's see how they like that rounded. They actually put the 2 root 10 in their calculator, and here's how they write their final answer. 6.32, because that's what 2 root 10 turns out to be. Cis 18.43. So that's not so hard, is it? No? Good. Okay, and if I want 5 cis 30 in A plus B I form, then you just go backwards. Okay, so that means that the degree is 30. Hey, isn't this one of our triangles? And that means that the hypotenuse is 5. Right, that's what that means. And they want me to go find out the coordinates. Oh, you made it! So watch how I have to find these coordinates, because that's really interesting. To find this one, this is kind of like the y-coordinate.
Make sure you take your rated home.
Opposite and hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse. So this is going to say, what's opposite and sine? That's sine, right? Sine of 30 equals opposite over hypotenuse. Right? So 5 sine 30. 5 sine 30 gives me my y-coordinate. I think this calculator wants me to go 30 and then push sine. And then times it by 5. Times 5. So that gives me about 2.5. So that means that this is 2.5 over here, and this one can be found by going 5 cosine of 30. That's where cis comes from, cosine sine. Cosine I sine. So 5 cosine 30 will give me x, because cosine is adjacent and hypotenuse. Isn't it? Okay. So 5 cosine 30. So let's go 30 cosine is that number, and then times 5. So these are recorded too, Rachel, so you could see that what you missed.
Okay.
She's like, what are you guys doing? So that gives, so the cosine kind of gave me my x value, so that would be 4.33, and then plus 2.5 I. That's a plus, oh, you can't read any of that, there it is. A plus BI form. So we found it by using, you can find the x-coordinate by using cosine, like hypotenuse times cosine of the angle. And then you find the other one by saying hypotenuse times sine of the angle. And that was letter B. I know I'm kind of out of time now. So sorry about that. But I think you guys are probably going to be okay. We have tutoring tomorrow.
Wait.
So we'll